Good afternoon and welcome to another Quick Bites AI session. Today, Crispin, our CEO, will be running a short live demonstration showing how quickly and easily you can get set up with a custom ChatGPT of your own to support and standardize your business processes. We'll aim to leave a little bit of time at the end, hopefully, for a brief Q&A. So here is the Slido details. Please submit your questions via Slido at any point during the session. Please keep the conversation going too. If you would like to drop a comment in on LinkedIn or YouTube, or if you're watching on Catch Up, get in touch about any of our courses or apprenticeships. The team will be on hand to help in any way they can. And so without further ado, I'll pass over to Crispin for our live demo.
Brilliant. Thanks, Rob. So another one in the series. We've got a lot of these little, 15, 20-minute demos that we can do that were built from, mostly it's the things that we've done over the past couple of years that have actually brought value to our business in terms of making it more efficient and more profitable. And so the things that we're going to cover in this and future webinars are all, as with all the things that we try and do, super practical and actually delivering value to you. What we're going to look at today, if you remember or if you were here at the last one we did was about creating a custom GPT that would write in your brand voice. And if you remember, we got ChatGPT, we questioned ChatGPT to then tell us what it wanted from us, and we had like a voice exchange to kind of build up a knowledge base for that GPT. We're going to do a similar thing today, but instead of using a custom GPT, we're going to show you organizing things in projects instead. And we're going to focus this demo on for writing policies, processes, and an SOP, so a standard operating procedure. So we're also going to have a bit of a recap at the end about projects versus custom GPTs, because they are slightly different. In lots of cases, they're interchangeable, but we'll talk about the differences. And hopefully this will give you confidence to start small, build your own, and start organizing your stuff into projects or custom GPTs. I will say as well that all of the things that we're covering here, we're using ChatGPT because it is the most common, but very, very similar things exist in Perplexity, in Gemini, in Claude. All of the other LLMs are all very, very similar in terms of what they're able to do. So really what we're talking about here is not like, here's how to use ChatGPT better. It's about organizing yourself and your team around these tools. So if you don't know, didn't do my intro. Hello, I'm Crispin. I'm the CEO of the Coders Guild, as Rob has already introduced. I have been working in tech for a really, really long time, since the late 90s, in fact, and then moved into training, digital tools, and vocational technical education around 10 years ago. And I have most recently I've been working with Skills England on producing a new apprenticeship for AI and automation, and I also sit on the FSB's technical committee. Now, this is our main thing for SMEs today. People are using AI tools, but they're not using them enough. Lots of people, you can see that LinkedIn is absolutely full of ChatGPT writing people's status updates for them, writing pieces of content. But there's so much more that we can use these tools for with just a little bit of extra understanding and organization. And that's what this webinar series is about. It's about finding use cases, practical use cases, and showing them to you. And then hopefully you can not just repeat exactly what we're doing, but then understand where the benefits can lie for you and your team in using these tools. Now we're going to switch directly into our live demo. The kind of the rule of thumb for doing webinars is not to do live demos, but unfortunately we have to do all of these as live demos because that's just the way that we work. So here's the ChatGPT interface. I do have the pay for subscription. I have taken off the confused developer mode that we had in the last webinar. So here's my GPTs over here. There's these are the ones that we've created. Scott was the copy that we created in the last one. The part that I'm looking at now in this one is the project section. So this is more about organizing work. So whereas the more static and repeatable task-based stuff is kind of best for GPTs, that's like your the custom GPT can be thought of as like a digital person in your team, so to speak, whereas the project is us as humans working under a same sort of umbrella of work. So the use case we're going to go through today is this, as I said, is this standard operating procedure. So I'm going to create a project called SOP, and then it will walk us through the next steps. So if I was going to do this first off, I think I would start with having a conversation with the LLM to just to tell it what I'm doing. So and then ask it what it would like to make that better. So let's just try that for as a first step. I am looking to create a project here for standard operating procedures for like process documents and things for me and my team to be able to standardize our policies, processes, reference documents, and store them all in the same format. Can you ask me some questions about how, so to give you a better idea about what we want from this project, things we should add to the knowledge base and the files, etc. So this demo is probably not long enough for me to finish this interaction, but I just wanted to show you how I would start this project. So I would be voice noting these things, or I may go back to my team, find out about the sorts of content we want to do, the tone, level of detail, structure, all of this stuff. I would go back to my team, and then I would be talking to them about what it was that we actually needed. So imagining that we can scoot through to the future, and that bit is done, I'll show you the next steps, because there's a practical bit to this demo that we don't need to go through all of this to for that to work. But yeah, best practice, go through all of this stuff with the team. Things will come out of that as well that might spark ideas for other projects or other custom GPTs that you might create, or other ways of working. Anyway, so if I go back to the main project here, now you see this bit, we've got this add files. So what I want to do to this, I'm going to add some files that will go into the knowledge base of the GPT. So what that means is that every time we start a chat in this project, it's going to call all of the information that's in those files, and then that becomes the framing of how it's going to have these chats with us. So you don't want loads and loads of stuff in there, because what the large language model has is a context window of the amount of stuff it can hold before it starts going off, forgetting things or not recalling things into this context window. So we don't need loads, but hopefully you'll be able to see the things that I'm going to add here. So I'm going to add some files from, I guess you can't see the file chooser, but if I've got some pretend files actually here, where I've got like a glossary of terms, I've got a policy reference document, I've got a template, I've got a style guide, and I've got a reference document about roles and responsibilities. So hopefully you can see these coming in now. So these, peek behind the curtain, most of these are actually just blank documents. I just wanted to give the example of having these documents and putting them into the knowledge base for the project. So things like the style guide of how we speak, there could be like tone of voice might be inside that. We've got the same thing here for the custom instructions as we had, if you remember, back in the introduction to ChatGPT, where you can tell it how to speak, how you want it to respond, but how formal you want the responses to be, etc., etc. We've got our memory here as well, so it will start pulling in key things where you're being specific about changes you want or formats that you want to have, and it will start to build up its own memory of how you want to work, and that should make things better too. So now we have them. The one that I want to show you, which I think is probably the most important for this demo, is we have this process document template. So what I've done in this template is, as I would create a template document for humans to use, I've done this one, but I've altered it slightly so that it's better for the LLMs to use. So I've put, this is the structure that I want. So it's got a title, date created, last updated, title goes in up there, got an overview section, who this is for, when to use it, process map, procedure steps. So what I'm doing here is I'm being specific to the LLM about the output that I want when I say I want it done in this format. So this procedure steps is outline, this is saying exactly what I want. I want this description with substeps, description, substeps in order. So we're discussing like a process of how to do a thing. And there's a space here in the document to embed a Loom video. I'll come back to that. And then maybe some additional resources and how the review and approval rates works. We also have this thing at the Coders Guild for a RACI template about when we've got a process, then we say who's responsible for it, accountable, consulted, informed. So we have this table that we fill out at the bottom. Now, the thing I'm primarily concerned with today is this top bit. It's just filling out this top bit as quickly as possible. So when you go through this as people, it takes a long time. But what I would like to do is show you a shortcut here where I have now a kind of a copy of a Trello board that I use. Actually, this is for the Leeds.js meetup group. And just to explain how do we use this board. Now, rather than write this down or start explaining it or try and do a voice note to ChatGPT, I'm going to be as efficient as I can. And I'm going to use a tool called Loom. So Loom, there is a free version of Loom. It's screen recording software. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start recording and I'm going to talk through how we use this board. Then I'll show you the next steps. So let's start recording. It'll give me a 3, 2, 1. Right, so I'm just going to talk through how to use this Trello board for task management in the Leeds.js meetup group. So the first column here is ideas inbox. So anyone can just add stuff to that all of the time. You can actually email into that. You can email directly into that. So you could forward an email directly and it will come into that ideas and inbox. So the idea of the ideas column is that when we meet up, we will discuss these ideas and then we'll decide whether to move them to the backlog, which means that we are going to do these things. And this backlog is organized in single column priority with the most important things at the top. But if it's something that we decide we don't want to do, it would go straight off to the archive or just be deleted. If it's something that we think we might do in the future, but not right now, it goes into this someday maybe column. And then we will, every quarter, we'll make sure that we review that someday maybe and see if there's things that we actually want to pull into the backlog. The next column is the WIP. That's the stuff we are actually working on at the moment. So things only move from the backlog to the WIP when we are actually working on them. There's a stuck column for if tasks get stuck, or if we're waiting for a response from someone, then they sit in the stuck column. And then when something needs a review, it goes into the review column. And then when we are all agreed that it is complete, it goes into the complete column. And then we review in our meeting, we will review all the stuff in complete. And then if it's all done, we move it to the archive. There may be another task that is attached to that might go into the ideas column. But that is basically, that's how that board works. And when we have a meeting, we go through the board kind of backwards, in that we look at the complete stuff first, then we look if anything is in review, anything that's stuck, and then we try and move the tasks about. And then by the time we get to from the whip to the ideas, then we just kind of clear out that ideas inbox. So that was a 2-minute ramble through how that Kanban board works. And what what Loom has given me now is a video that I can now insert into that document. Now, hopefully, it has also given me a transcript of the whole thing. Now, what's awesome about that is that I can just copy that whole transcript. Now I'm going to go back to our standard operating procedure chat, and I'm going to ask for what I want it to do. I'm going to paste in a transcript of a demo that I've just done on Loom. And what I would like is for you to return the first part of the what's it called, the process document in the template format. I'll upload the template again just for absolute clarity. I'm not really interested in the racy stuff. I'm just want to fill in the first main parts, which are the overview, who this is for, when to use it, process map. Well, the process map won't be there, and the procedure steps. Great stuff. I'm just going to, for the sake of putting the context of that template at the top of the list, I'm just going to add that file one more time. So process document template example, here we go. Once that's uploaded, right. So now I can paste it. Oh, is it still in the? Yeah, so there's my transcript. There we go. Live demo, see how well we do. So you'll realize, you can see here that what ChatGPT has done is guessed some stuff here. I never told it who it was for. I never told it when it was used. The process map we're not worried about, but it has pulled out the process here and organized it really well. Which is great for us. And it's also got this step 9 about running the meeting using the board, as in you walk the board backwards. So, so here we go. We've got some options here. So we could have a second document, which is about running the meetup, which is a great suggestion. So I wonder if, for the sake of time, I'm going to jump out of the demo now, but you can see this is where we would go from it. My next steps from here would be conversationally here now. Yeah, I think that sounds like a good idea. Let's split this out into 2 documents. One document is this is how the board works. Another document is here's how to run the meeting, and refer to them. And we're pasting this in and filling this out. We could also say, right, I want to fill out the rest of the document. Ask me questions about, ask me any more questions you need to fill out this document and make it more useful. What suggestions do you have? Now, also, when you've got one of the things that I find is when you've got something, a draft to correct, it's It's much more easy than writing something from scratch. So, actually, this isn't for anyone else contributing ideas to the meetup. It's only for the core organizational team. So you start to correct those things, but you can correct them in a voice note and it will redraft the whole entire thing. Very, very, very quick process. So that's the end of the demo. I'll just come back to my slides. Whoops, gone too fast. So as a recap, projects are better for organizing team knowledge and having templates of stuff that you want done in a certain way. So repeatable tasks, describable workflows. It's like a topic-based workspace. You could have one for a particular client, for example. You could have a client project or a project. That would be a good use case. Then the custom GPTs, the way we share them is different. In a project, we're inviting people to join in the project, whereas the custom GPT, you define the rules and then you are sharing those kind of rules with people. So it's really good for establishing like a consistent tone, voice, style, and it's more like it's more like a personalized AI team member. That's why you can see in our examples, we've started naming our custom GPTs, and we have Scott, Clara, Quincy, Chuck, all these AIs that do specific different tasks. So the three big takeaways, I guess, that I'd like you to leave with is there is a lot of real value in AI for SMEs. You don't need a full-on business-changing overhaul, massive product or consultant. You just need to look for the bottlenecks in your business and think about how you can use these tools to just smash through things that, the things you don't get round to, the things that take loads of time, but actually, if you do invest in doing them, pay back and give you massive kickbacks in terms of efficiency and communication and team cohesion. And the other takeaway is just start small. You can do the smallest thing, but do start. Now, next thing for me to talk about is the AI Automation Apprenticeship. As I said at the beginning, I spent a lot of time last year working with Skills England to research and create this new apprenticeship. It is now live. Our first cohorts start next month. So if you're interested in hiring someone to come and do this sort of work or upskilling yourself or someone in your team, do have a look at the website. Do come and talk to us. Find us on LinkedIn. Because remember, you don't have to be a school leaver to do an apprenticeship. You can use Skills Levy funding to upskill yourself and other people in your team. And this is a great way, I think, to affordably upskill in these key digital skills. Now, onto the Q&A. Rob, any activity in the Slido?
We have two questions, and we have just about enough time to cover them. First one was, can this be done on free tier or just paid? I know that Custom GPT's paid tier, but I'm not sure whether it's
I think projects are actually available on. I'm just going to ask ChatGPT actually. I think projects are available on free.
And I think it's probably worth caveating that anything that you put into free LLMs may be subject to training models and things like that. So always be careful putting your business data into free tiers.
Yes, thanks, Rob.
And while ChatGPT is answering that, we can move on to the next question before we run out of time. How do you get your team to take on board the processes? Make a podcast in Notebook LM ?
Right. What a brilliant segue is that, Rob, for the Notebook LM onboarding. Yeah, so there's a couple of points to raise here. The first one is you can't do these things. These tools don't fix problems, people problems that you have. So for people to invest their time in adopting these practices, that's a people problem. So, or say a people problem, that's the thing to do as people rather than the AI. The tool is there, but having, for us to communicate and collaborate well on how we will use these tools, that's for us to do. That's for us to solve. I would say that building that trust and having that advocacy for these tools is about involving the people in the process of here's what we're going to do, rather than doing a thing and rolling it out and mandating that everybody use it. It's about the involvement. If you remember back at the beginning of the demo, I was saying at this point I would go to the team and I would be asking people, what do you think we need from this? And I think that's a key part to get the buy-in from the rest of the team. The earlier you do that, the better, and the better the results from what you want. Like the SOP thing is such a good example of that's a thing that works if everybody has input. What is our standard operating procedure? How do we work better together? What things could we do, record, change, adapt? And that's a people question.
Definitely. Right. I think, did we get an answer on?
Yeah. Yes, projects are available on the free tier of ChatGPT.
Fantastic. Right. Well, thank you very much for your time, everyone, and thank you, Crispin, for the demo. It went really well. So we'll see you guys again soon. Keep an eye out on our upcoming events, and please do keep the conversation going in the comments, and we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, for the Notebook LM onboarding podcast, which is one of the things that we're doing in the future.